CTV News with Michael O'Byrne and Leanne Cusack.
Charges in Monday's murder of an Ottawa teen. 3 men connected to the shooting are in court this morning. And the newly elected Ottawa City Council holds its first ever meeting.
We're calling it an early Christmas gift to you. Today, lawyer Dave Hollingsworth is offering free legal advice. He's going to take your calls and questions as well.
Angels in the Night program. So good for them. Now, help if you have some legal problems. Leanne is standing by with lawyer Dave Hollingsworth to discuss your legal responsibilities and liabilities. Do you have any, Leanne?
I'm hoping not. Did I park okay? Yeah. And our satellite truck is clear of laneways and all the rest. We've done our due diligence today so far, Carol Ann. But it's great to have Dave Hollingsworth here, especially at this time of year. And yes, we are going to offer you free legal advice with your calls and questions in a short while. But first, it's the season for parties. It's the holly jolly time of year, Dave. But with that comes social responsibility and liability.
That's right, Leanne. Nothing hurts a really good Christmas party like a bad injury, especially most injuries can be avoided. So there are staff Christmas parties that people attend, there are house parties, and there are parties at bars and restaurants that we have to consider some of the liability issues.
I get a lot of the people who are watching right now may be hosting a party, private parties in their homes. So what should they bear in mind? I mean, of course, just being a responsible person, you never want people to risk their lives or anyone else's. So you want to make sure people never, ever drive while impaired. Always have a designated driver. Right. But there's a legal element to that as well.
Well, there is. And I guess if we start with looking at it, if it's an employer having employees over, an employer has a positive obligation to make sure that their employees who attend a staff party get home safely. And this is more than just offering them a taxi chit, but it's in fact insisting that they leave with a taxi chit or have a designated driver. If it's going to be an open bar, make sure you close the open bar a little bit earlier than people are going to leave, or else maybe hand out tickets, give them limited quantities, because there is an obligation on an employer to make sure that their staff and the staff's guests get home safely.
And what about individual homeowners? Individual
homeowners, there was a very big case, a tragic case here in Ottawa a number of years ago where it was a New Year's Eve party actually, and a driver left the party intoxicated, and that driver caused some serious injuries to some people. And the Supreme Court of Canada found, in fact, that in that case that the homeowner did not have an obligation to third parties, but these things are fact specific, and there could be a situation where a homeowner who does have a party might be on the hook. So you really have to be careful, and designated driver is just the obvious one, or taxis.
So that relates to entertaining, and that relates to alcohol. But there are other sorts of issues you have to make sure in the slippery time of year that we are careful, and I use the term that we do due diligence. And some people actually were surprised to learn, we had mentioned this a while ago, that you are responsible and your insurance is null and void if in fact you don't have someone check your home or clear your path.
Right. Well, if you're away over the holiday period for any period of time, it's a good idea to make sure that there is somebody to clear your walkway. I mean, the mail still gets delivered, and people still come to your door, and you have an ongoing obligation to make sure that your steps are clear and that there is salt and sand, and it's free of any hazards for people coming to your home. Now, as far as the insurance go, if the insurance company feels that you've vacated the premises, then it may be null and void. But that's a complicated sort of procedure that they investigate.
You deal with a lot of injury, yes. And if people do have accidents or personal injuries, and now I am in no way encouraging anyone to be litigious. You're a lawyer, and you may encourage people to be litigious, but I'm just wanting people to know what they should bear in mind if in fact there is an accident or an injury, if they're involved in a car accident, or a situation where they do slip in, say, a store parking lot.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you contact 911. You get the ambulance there, you get the police there, because you want to have medical attention is the most important thing. And then obviously if there's going to be some element of negligence, you want an investigation done by the police and a police report. Some people fall and try to tough it out. It's a very good idea to seek medical attention immediately upon being injured.
And then follow up later. Now we're going to follow up with you in just a couple of minutes' time. Dave Hollingsworth is on the line. The numbers to call 613-750-1211 or 1-888-750-1211. Who says there isn't anything that's free anymore? In the next 8 minutes or so, you're going to have free legal advice.
The following segment contains information we hope viewers will find useful. This information is not intended to replace one-on-one consultation with your own advisor. Before making important decisions, always consult an accredited professional.
Well, we are here with lawyer Dave Hollingsworth, and today we were talking about liability, and we are welcoming your phone calls, 613-750-1211 or 1-888-750-1211. And typically, this is sort of what I gauge over time. Before Christmas is not the time that people are thinking about wills and paperwork. They're thinking more about, immediate sort of seasonal things, or maybe some property issues that have come up because of Christmas decorating or whatever, Dave. Sure. But that always comes after Christmas when people like to get down to their paperwork. We have calls on the line, and I'm not certain who we are starting with. I think it's Heather. Hi there, Heather. You have a question for Dave.
Yes, I do. I own property in Quebec, but I am a resident of Ontario. Do I need a Quebec will concerning the Quebec property?
Great question. The answer is that's a very common question for people in this area. And the answer is that the Ontario will normally take care of any property that you have in Quebec, because there are some people who have property in Florida, some people have property in Europe and all over the place. So a proper will in Ontario can normally take care of that.
Thank you for the call, Heather. And you're a lot further ahead than a lot of people, because I think it shocks you to, even when you do our random sampling of friends, how many people don't have a will or an active will?
A lot of people don't. And I should mention there is a will registry in Quebec where wills do get registered in Quebec, and we don't really have that to the same extent here in Ontario.
We have Tammy on the line. Tammy, you have a question for Dave.
I sure do, actually. It's something that's been on my mind for many years now. My son is currently 18 years old, but has been suffering of back pain since he got into an accident. He was on top of a ferry where the driver was driving, and he jumped into the water, but unfortunately had fell back into the metal grate and cut his ear off. Now, what happened was he was hospitalized for days and days. They thought that he was going to be paralyzed, but thank God he was okay, but's been suffering with back pain. The police were involved, but my main concern was he was just going to be okay. Is there, now that he is missing days of school and this, that, and the other thing, and can't move sometimes due to the back problem, is there anything I could do after so many years?
So a statute of limitations. How many years has it been, Tammy?
Oh, gosh, he was about 8, 9 years old, and he's about 18 now. Or he is 18.
Well, the rules in Ontario are that the Limitations Act begins to run from your 18th birthday, and the General Limitation Act is 2 years. So it would be, he would need to commence an action within 2 years of his 18th birthday.
Well, so the timing of Tammy's call is really very relevant right now.
It's excellent timing. Did this occur in Ontario?
Tammy, did this occur in Ontario? Oh, okay. We've lost Tammy, but if in fact it occurred in Ontario, what would the answer be?
That would be the answer.
Okay.
Yeah, the limitation period is 2 years from the 18th birthday.
I'm disappointed we lost Tammy, because I, like all of our viewers, wanted to know whether or not his ear was successfully reattached. Anyway, we moved on to Karen on the line, and Karen, you have a question for Dave.
Yes, I do. Actually, my son bought a cottage and to make it into a home to live in, and he went and got it surveyed, just done, and he found out that his neighbor next to him, his garage, half his garage, and his well is on his property. Now, what we want to know is, does my husband have, or my son, does he have to grant the land to his neighbor, or does he get be able to keep the land himself, or does that person get to buy the land from him, or what in that professional way of doing it?
The well and the garage. This is an interesting one, but probably not that uncommon.
Well, no, this type of thing happens, and this is a rural property in Ontario. Now, was the survey was done after the transfer, I presume? After he took ownership of the property?
Yes.
Well, I would go back to the lawyer firstly and find out what kind of investigations the lawyer did prior to the property being transferred. And maybe the lawyer has a reasonable explanation for this. Okay. There may have been rights of way or easements granted. Alternatively, there may be title insurance that you can go to take a look at that.
Yes, he has title insurance.
There is title insurance?
Yes, there is.
Sorry?
He has that as well.
He does have that.
Okay, well then the first thing I would do would be call the title insurance company to find out what they want to do about it, and And those three options that you've raised may be ones that they'll consider and figure out which one is best.
Okay, thanks for the call, because whenever there's a call like this, I know there are so many other people who it actually affects or have similar, property issues. We have Angie on the line. Hi there, Angie. Your question for Dave.
Yes. My husband passed away, and the home we're in Ottawa, it was in both our names, and I have to get his name taken off, and it's totally mine according to the will and everything. But in the process, there's two old mortgages showing up, one in the 1960s and one in the 1970s that haven't been, that shows they're still active. They haven't been paid off. Well, that's obviously not right. What do I have to do other than pay $1 million to get this settled?
Well, you won't have to pay $1 million, and right now you're going to get a free answer.
That's right.
That sounds good.
That's right. Well, this type of thing is not uncommon. The first and easiest thing to do would be to call the bank that has the mortgage and find out if they have a record of the mortgage having been paid, and they may say, oh, yeah, it's been paid. We will we'll bring an application to amend the register or simply discharge the mortgage. That's the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
If you have a tough time with that, if you take it to a real estate lawyer, the real estate lawyer can bring an application to the land titles office to amend the register to have those removed, assuming, of course, that they have been paid.
Oh, definitely they've been paid.
Yeah. It's not a particularly complicated process. I go to the bank first, then to a lawyer second.
Okay.
I really like it. Sorry to interrupt you there, Angie, when the answer is it's not a terribly complicated process.
Usually.
That's right, yes, because the lawyer I talked to, she said it's extremely expensive and to bring your checkbook, so it scared me. And I wondered if there's something I can do myself that I don't have to pay her.
Maybe she found out that, maybe she thinks that there's money owing, I'm not sure.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that. We have Renee on the line. Renee, your question for Dave Hollingsworth.
Yes, good morning.
Hi.
I had a doctor's appointment with a specialist, and I missed the appointment. Now I'm being charged $50 for having missed the appointment. My question is, how can they legally do this when no other trade does that?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. That's something between you and the doctor. I guess you have some sort of arrangement with the doctor, and the doctor believes the doctor believes that the arrangement is if you miss the appointment, you get a $50 fee. I'm not sure if you were notified of that fee in advance, but I would maybe contact the doctor's office and ask them how it was that they notified you or you were to know about this cancellation fee. Cancellation fees do happen, though, sometimes.
Sometimes you'll see that in dentist offices.
Yeah.
I've seen it, I think, with hairstylists or massage therapists as well.
Yeah.
We're sorry to hear that, Renee, and
Yeah.
we're sorry you missed the appointment, and we're sorry that you have to pay for the appointment that you missed, but we're really glad that Dave Hollingsworth didn't miss his appointment with us or with you, and that he was able to offer you some great advice. And we have a link to Dave's website on our website at ctvottawa.ca. Easy for me to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you.